in the chop shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. Yeah, it's lit in the chop shop. Turn your dials up in the drop top. They ain't based to debate, but they keep it fact straight. Going 30 for 30, let's do a first take. On Facebook Live from 12 to 2. Rob Hatter and Jim Hicks going back and forth like Carter Ray, Skip Bayless and Stephen Smith. From on the court, off the court, straight to the field. Not a man that steals, but I made it steal. To the octagon where I fight to kill. We go face to face, then you write your will. I don't play tennis, but I bring the racket. I'm on the floor, I attack the basket. Put you in the casket when I'm overlapping. Never showing mercy, cause I'm always snapping. Never showing mercy when I'm in the arena. Step into the ring, you see me as I beat him. Step into the court, I'm never backing down. Killing competition, I'm smacking down. Let me get back to the other stuff at the chop shop, cause they cutting up. It's retro, coming to you live to the chop shop. Now let's turn it up. Yeah, we in the chop shop, man. Shout out to Jim Hicks and Rob Hatter. You can catch the chop shop live from 12 to 2 on Facebook Live. Let's get it. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop.
H-Town, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas, broadcasting all over the world via Facebook Live and also YouTube Live. We got a great lineup for you today. We got a great guest, unique guest. We haven't had a guest on like this before. And but you know what, Jimmy? It's a lot of stuff going on in the news. I know it's a wild hair you got to pluck, but I am so glad that I went back and researched what's going on. So sometimes I don't, I want to be informed with my emotions about the Reggie Bush things. But Jimmy, you know what I've been thinking about? I want to start this show off. This virus, right? This virus is rough. But you know what? But one of the things that's really illustrating is that people that are adaptable are going to hit a home run in this thing. Y'all hear me now? People that are adaptable in this pandemic is going to get hit a home run. The rigid guy, the brittle guy, get off my lawn type of guy, he's not. It's just the other day, Jimmy, I was just thinking about the example the PGA had this weekend with Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods, and I learned a little bit from it, Jimmy. I know people were watching a golf match, but I was watching an opportunity. I watched the NFL, and the NFL has acknowledged that they stole some from the XFL, they stole some from college basketball, anything, the NFL, they just want their product to be better. You remember when they said, we're not going to, you remember when they said they wasn't going to do the celebrations at the end, Jimmy? And then the NFL came back, they looked on social media and stole from the NBA and watched how their fans were like when they do stuff like that. Let me tell you something. Ratings went up and everything. So in this climate, y'all, our community, the Chop Shop community, let's not be so rigid. Let's look at certain things and look at this thing as an opportunity. And I just wanted to share that with y'all in any aspect of your life. Don't look at it bad, look at it as an opportunity. But Jimmy, what you got going on? I had to share that to my people today because I know a lot of people that, I don't know what to do. Look at it like an opportunity. Jimmy, I never forget the internet. The internet, when it came into fruition and became powerful, a lot of companies, Jimmy, bowed out because they didn't adapt. Blockbuster, they didn't realize that you can just summon your movie up on stream. They never adapted. That's why Blockbuster is what, Jimmy? Out of business. So we got to see what's going on and watch what's going on and don't be so rigid, and we'll be able to perform and we'll be able to put ourselves in a position when this thing happened. I told y'all months ago, when this thing happened, it's going to be some billionaires come out to this. It's going to be some millionaires coming. I know I see Joe Young shipping masks over here now. You follow me? We got some enterprising young men out here, man, and it's unbelievable, and women. So I just want to shout out to that community. But Jimmy, what you got, man?
Yeah, man. You know, I was just thinking, Lil Rick, shout out to you guys on the Facebook platform as well as the YouTube platforms out there in Chop Shop today. We're going to be joined at the halfway point in about 20 minutes. We're going to be joined our special guest, and we have one hell of a convo. Meanwhile, we got a couple of topics to want to just surf on through. One, we want to extend our condolences to anybody that knows the family of George Floyd. So he's the latest African-American male to be killed at the hands of an unarmed African-American male, to be killed at the hands of a police officer while already apprehended. So once again, that's George Floyd. And then this comes right on the heels of another black man in Central Park who, luckily for the technology of cell phones, that could have ended a whole lot differently. Just say if that would have been in the state of Florida instead of New York. Let's say if New York had open carry, which they don't, thank God. And so it's just, guys, just be careful out there and be smart. So let's get our energy up in this talk.
Jimmy, I just want to take a shout out to that, since you're gonna bring that up. I didn't want to go there because I get so emotional about it. So you're driving while black, walking while black, shopping while black, barbecuing while black, playing in the playground while black, worshiping while black, jogging while black, bird watching by black, being on the porch in the front yard or the backyard, or inside your home while black. So I'm gonna just leave it right there. I'm gonna just leave it right there. And now we got to find out what we're gonna do about it. Now, what else you got, Jim?
So that's the get energy up, and we definitely can continue to dive into that conversation on tomorrow, because it ain't enough time before our guests come to dive into that. As far as
No.
It would, especially with those two conversations. That's twofold. Talking about, so. But meanwhile, let's go and talk some NBA talk first, and to get some of this off the top, and that is how NBA talk. Damian Lillard has issued a statement saying that if the NBA, I'm just paraphrasing, doesn't put the format in place where there's a play-in tournament between the 7th through the 12th seeds of the Western Conference, then Damian Lillard is saying that he's vowing to be there and supporting this, to be there with this team, but he says don't expect him to play.
Don't want him to play. I don't care if he play or not. I don't care. He's a loser. He done lost.
That's the Memphis Grizzly in you talking
No,
right now.
I don't care if he don't play or not. Excuse me, we're not talking about the Grizzlies right now. We're talking about the player who you just so eloquently said that he don't want to play. So what the hell am I supposed to sit up here and say? Damon, play, sir, play. I don't care if he play or not. I wouldn't have made that stupid statement, because guess what? Guess what he's saying? So he is telling the people, I'm not going to go in the game. A la Scottie Pippen. I'm not going to play. But he's still accepting that check they sending him. So This ain't got nothing, dude. I don't, listen to me. I'm not a Memphis Grizzly fan. Let's repeat that. I'm from Memphis, but I ain't never said I'm cheering for the Grizzlies. I like Ja Morant. Let's get that straight. So, but if he don't play, who is Damian Lillard if he don't play? He's out of the playoffs. Guess what? If I was them, Adam Silver, everybody who ain't in the top 16 or the 8 from this conference, send him home in it. Is he in the top 8 in the West or the conference? I don't care. If he ain't in the top 8, I don't want to hear no commentary. Is he not in the top 8? Go home. Send them guys home. But I know what the NBA is doing. They trying to get all of these games under their belt, Jimmy, because always remember, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know, players don't get paid for the playoffs. So if we start just the playoffs, what about those 19 to 18 to 15? I forgot, some people got 15 games. Those games, those guys don't play. They got a chance to enacting the force majeure clause, and they won't get paid for those 18, 19. Different teams are different because some teams have played more than others. I think the San Antonio Spurs got a number of games. I mean, so you're going to get docked for them games you don't play. So he's saying he going to come back and play the games. Oh, excuse me, he'll come back and support the team, but he don't want to play in the games. So guess what they're telling me? If I'm Adam, okay, well then we'll just dock you out. You don't have to play. Because guess what? You're not in the playoffs anyway, son. Go on by your business. Go home, go on vacation, and we just going to dock you for them 18 games. So that's what he's not. That's why Michelle Roberts going to get on that call with these guys in the next day or so to talk to these guys. Stuff like that. Just shut up, Damian Lillard. Now, that's all I got to say.
He said, that's all I got to say. And that's exactly what you said is, think about it. He the one that opened his mouth.
Yes.
So he opened his mouth and saying that you're not going to play. If you're not going to play, just do it like common folk do nowadays. Just don't play. Don't play.
Load management, Jimmy.
And you're thinking, and my thing is this. Portland Trailblazers, understand, they had a sub 500 record. I think they're 29-37 this season, right? 29-37. They're 3.5 games back of Memphis. So that's understand why he means that he wants the NBA to scrape, level the playing field, and put a 6-team tournament that would be the seeds 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th, and 12th. That's 6 teams will be in a tournament to determine those final 2 seeds, 7th and 8th, right? So, yeah, you would want to do that. When you're behind, if he played for the Memphis Grizzlies tomorrow, right now, he wouldn't be having the same. How would I say it? He wouldn't be coming from the same angle. Would not be. And that's the thing on Damian Lillard.
Ken Lutz, I'm sorry, Jimmy. Ken Lutz, sometimes y'all got to start listening just a little bit, because she said that's Cole Hatter. Somebody said that's Cole Hatter, the risk of COVID. He ain't talking about no damn risk of COVID.
No, he didn't. That wasn't no
he just ain't gonna play. He ain't said nothing about no risk of COVID. Y'all listen to the conversation before you make comments.
You're responsible for your team being in this position.
Yes.
You are partly responsible. Why? Because you at the time when March 11th came around were the fifth leading scorer in the NBA. So that means, guess what? You could have easily been able to put your team in a better position to win more games, more than 29 out of the 65, 66 games that they played. You won 29 of them. And now you're saying, well, hey, you know what, man? I mean, you know what? Yeah. Dame Lillard lose points with this.
Oh my goodness.
Points. When I say points, meaning street swag. You know, and then it don't matter. I mean, you know, but points do matter when those guys go back in the summer leagues. Those guys go back and their peers gonna teach them.
What I always tell you, Jimmy, it's a right way to do wrong. It's a right way to even do wrong. He didn't even. Just shut up, man. Go rap. You're a rapper. Rap. you're rapper slash whatever rap. That's all. What else you got, man?
Let's switch over to the amateur side. We're about 11 minutes away from our guest joining us on the Chop Shop today, and what a great combo we are expecting to have. And we'll also take your question and kind of enlighten your IQ on grassroots basketball today. And that's when we're gonna dive into that pool. Meanwhile, we have as you expect, the Reggie Bush thing. Let's go on and just dive into this a little bit on the Reggie Bush thing. And Reggie Bush, as I projected yesterday, it would be a topic of discussion this morning, and it was on a lot of the networks. And Reggie Bush was quoted in a Playboy article. And during the quote, I read it to you guys. The question was, do you ever think about trying your hand at coaching? That's the key. Sometimes it's not the question, it's the response. This question, this is only thing that this person, the interviewer asked him at this time. Do you ever think about trying your hand at coaching? Here's the response. Reggie Bush, it's the transcript of the conversation. Nope, no coaching for me. Maybe I'd take a front office position, but I'm not trying to go back and coach. I would like to help people, but I'd just rather pop in for guidance. Guidance is the one thing that young athletes coming through college system miss on so much. And I missed it. They're about to start paying college athletes. This is something that has never been experienced before. And it's going to destroy some people if their foundation is not in the right place. And this is the comment that sparked the wildfire. First, the man didn't ask you in that question about what you want to do and your thoughts on paying athletes at that time. That was a question simply about, do you ever want to get back into coaching? You answered that question and then went through the stop sign and keep on going. Then you go and you make this one part about it. It's Reggie Bush, guys. Remember play for USC? Remember back when Vincent Young in the Rose Bowl and during that time? Remember, this Reggie Bush. He says, this is something that has never been experienced before. And people can take that stuff and they take the words, you understand? We're not listening to the conversation. We don't know the context of it, but the words are there. So people take those words and can run with them. And my thing is this, and I say it again, Reggie Bush, that topic, that man didn't ask you about your thoughts on paying athletes and what you think, which you have your own opinion. You're entitled to it. But I'm saying it like this. You should sit this one out. You should sit this one out. You got bread when you was at USC. And you're saying in the same manner which people got bread in that school got punished as a result of you. You had to give back and relinquish your Heisman Trophy. And that's just a slap on the doggone wrist.
But Jimmy, I mean, so you saying when somebody asks you a question, you have to answer that question and that's just it? You can't elaborate why I don't want to get into coaching? And the reason I don't want to get into coaching because I see the stuff that's coming ahead of time, especially when they start playing. I just want to have a different point of view from you. You know, I don't want to sit there and agree with you because I think I took a few notes, and all he said was he was against paying college athletes. Not saying he's not. Excuse me, I'm sorry. He was not saying that athletes should not be paid. He was just saying that they need guidance, like we all do when getting paid. All of us need guidance. Not really that controversial to me. Because I read more than the headline. You telling me that just because somebody asked me a question, I can't add an addendum to the question. Somebody asked me a question, if I'm an intelligent man that went to USC, I'm going to ask you a question, then I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. I'm not just going to say yes and no, yes and no. Maybe that's something he just wanted. And guess what? And he is the one should be talking about. Because people talking about, I heard some people tell me, Robert, it wasn't the message, it's the messenger. because it was a great message he gave. Great message. And kids do. You even said, Jimmy, you said, man, watch the kids when they go to the store. See who spent all their money. Watch the kids. So he didn't say nothing wrong. So if you're upset because it's the messenger, think about it, man. He should know more than anybody. He should know. He'd have made about $60-some million playing football, and he said he wished he had to learn more about money in the beginning. So his message is, let's learn about money in the beginning. So I know y'all want to kill the messenger all the time, because what? When he was young, and not just him, his mama, her boyfriend, husband, whatever, everybody, I was blessed enough, I was trying to recruit him out there. And let me tell you something. It was a lot of people benefited at Reggie Bush. And Jimmy, his message, I don't want his message, young men and young women and parents, to be masked by people talking about him. The message was clear. And we've said this on our show, that young kids need to learn financial literacy. And I think it was a good message. Like I said, I think it was a great message, and maybe y'all got upset because it was him. I wasn't upset because it was, he should be the perfect poster boy to tell you, hey man, because guess what? If I ain't been through that, how the hell I'm gonna tell you about it? That's all I'm saying. I mean, you can dim it. I'm not trying to, you can be mad about Reggie all you want. I'm telling you, the message was absolutely on point. And this is a message that I've been preaching to him for years. So I'm with the message. You can shoot the messenger. I'm not.
Understand what you just did. What you just did, you took his words and you took the words and you feel that you know where he was going with it. And
I read the whole article.
Understand.
Understand. I didn't read the soundbite. I read the whole article in context. If you go back and read the whole article, his wife was sitting there. They were talking about this stuff always. They even mentioned in the article, Jimmy, Tom Brady, how proud he is with Tom Brady for standing up for Aubrey.
Once again, Reggie Bush, the question that was asked, yes, you're required to do. It's not required. He changed the topic in his manner.
It's all right for intelligent people to change the topic.
That wasn't the question.
He answered the question, did he?
And Reggie Bush, as I said, Reggie Bush, he's sit this one out.
No, I disagree. I totally disagree.
You know what? You sit this one out.
If you ask an intelligent man a question, he give you an answer, and then he tell you why.
Well, like, did Reggie Bush admit? Did he at first admit to taking money when he was at USC? Did he admit that that house was not his and that was rented out? Understand?
What if I told you his mom and them did that? He didn't have nothing to do with it.
I say in most cases the kid ain't negotiating a deal. I said it on the show 2 days ago. In most cases, last Thursday. In most cases, it's the grown up, but at the same time, Reggie Bush, the stench that's on the conversation of accepting money.
What?
And while you in college.
What I would do, Jimmy, and I know you just glossed over that because you want to get your point across. What I would advise everybody is to go to Playboy and read the whole article. And read the spirit of the whole article. That's why I didn't comment until I went and read the article. I could go by this clickbait and go by that one little thing like Jimmy and Reggie. But then I read the whole article and why they were doing the article, the things that he was talking about in the article, and it all flowed. The article flowed with, you might don't understand it, why he just came out of left field. But Jimmy, if you go look at the whole article, somebody do me a favor and go read it, and just do it yourself, and then you'll understand probably why he made those comments. That's all. That's all.
And of course, then once again, we're talking about the conversation. with Playboy, and as a result of the backlash that he's received after it. And once again, and that's, in a nutshell. Now, meanwhile, after that, we're about to get ready to slide right into our guest who's about to join us in a minute. And that is, afterwards, Reggie Bush went to social media and in an effort to chastise one of the writers with the Undefeated, and that is Jesse Washington. And during that conversation, and this is pretty much how it went. And Reggie says, "Dear ESPN, please take the story down. I did not speak to you. I never gave you approval to write this story. This is not what I said, nor the context I said it in. And you're trying to use my name with this bogus headline for clickbait. Let's not allow this to happen again." And one of the employees, ESPN did not respond, one of the employees responded, and that's Jesse. And he says, "Fam, the story quoted you accurate. We don't need your approval to quote something you said publicly. Feel free to clarify or say you misspoke, which we all do sometimes, but you did this to yourself. Don't blame ESPN." So that's kind of like how we'll leave it right now. And that
was a terrible way to leave it. It's a terrible way to leave it, but we got a guest, and we'll talk about it's a terrible way to leave it. But
those are factuals. That's a conversation.
No, that's not fact. You got to read the article to get the facts, but I know you don't understand that.
The fact is, the man went on social media and he sent a directive towards a company.
He works for Fox, Jimmy. He works for Fox. That's why he didn't want ESPN. Come on, we got to look. He works for Fox.
That's understandable. But still, though, I'm saying it happened, and the guy responded.
So of course. So that's all I'm trying to let you understand. He works for Fox. So of course he gonna say, ESPN, I don't want you writing nothing about me. But
that ain't all he said.
Let's break the
what he said. He said it was totally false. No, don't stop now. Now, meanwhile, let's get right into it and shift gears now and wipe the chalkboard and go and talk some grassroots basketball, and some amateur sports primarily, what we get into today. And who we have joining us right now, as promised, we have one of the godfathers of grassroots basketball. I'm talking about in the modern day history of the grassroots basketball, and that is based out of New York City. This guy right here is the man, the originator of the Brim. Matter of fact, his name the Brim, and his website as well. And this is Gary Charles is joining us live from the East Coast right now. What's going on, Gary Charles?
Well, I tell you, man, y'all fellas, y'all get it in, huh? I was listening to you, man. I was loving it, man. Y'all getting it in, baby. I like that. I like that. Okay.
Hey, man, I want to start off with you. I'm just going to go and talk before we get into talking about you. And I want to toss a topic at you. This coming from Dave Winfield out in right field, throwing that ball at home plate. Check this out. This really shocked me. And I'm going to give both of you guys a chance, but I'll toss to you first, Gary. Did you guys see the comments from Ty Lawson?
I saw them.
No.
I
didn't see it.
Okay, I'll read the comments from Ty Lawson.
Okay.
For you guys as well. Check this out. Ty Lawson, former NBA player, played grassroots basketball with the DC Blue Devils, if I'm not mistaken. Went to North Carolina, starred All-American. Ty Lawson, that Ty Lawson. Check this out. He says, "It's a blessing that I don't open my mouth about SHIT. They ask me why I don't show love to North Carolina. Roy Williams knows why. Who talks SHIT about someone who won them a championship? You're weird. I got messages from 10 NBA GMs that said it came out your mouth. That's why I don't F with Carolina or support anything y'all do." This Ty Lawson said this on Instagram. your thoughts on this first, Gary, before we get to the. I mean, you know this young man coming through the.
Yeah. Let me say this. A couple of things about Ty Lawson, because I want to make sure I'm transparent. Ty Lawson actually came to New York at one point and played for me in a tournament out here in New York called ISA, and actually helped me win the championship against Wayne Ellington and Joe Henderson. Okay, so I want to put that on record. So I got love for Ty because he helped me win the championship. All right, and then he played with my boy Danny Green at North Carolina. So I know Ty. Hearing that, I'm the type of person that I need to hear the full story. Meaning that, what do you mean, Ty? What was said to put you in this situation to be saying these things? I would like to hear that before I would fully, comment on that, because obviously that's a powerful statement, to be made. All right, because all I can tell you is that Danny Green loves North Carolina. Now, we have all been around long enough to know that whatever it is, it's not always 100%, if you know what I mean. So meaning that maybe for him, he went through some things. And what Danny went through is totally different than maybe what he went through. But that's a heck of a statement to be made about North Carolina and Roy Williams.
Yeah.
I don't think say is I sit there and Gary so eloquently said, your experience is different. I happen to was at North Carolina when John Henson was there, and I got to be around the program. I thought Roy was a nice guy to me. It was nice to John, but it's a lot of stuff but if Ty Lawson thought, or some GMs said that to Ty Lawson, then guess what? He have every right to be upset with Roy Williams. I don't care how people hold Roy Williams in such high regard, me or whoever. If that's the way that kid feel, and because I'm not sure, I learned, Gary, a long time ago that it's 3 sides to every story. I added a side because people you says 2 sides to every story. No, I added a side. Your side, my side, and the truth.
And the truth.
You follow me?
So I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So it's unique. Roy hadn't spoke out about it, but my question is, why now? That would be Tyrone Lawson out the league, right? He's not in the league anymore.
Yes.
Why now? And that's what and I just want to read into it a little bit more. Gary, I'm a guy that just don't like to read one article about something. I got to go talk to people who before I really comment. So that's why I'm coming. My thing to you is why, Jimmy? I'm talking about why at this time does he pick this time to do it now? Something is going on, and that's what I want to find out, the why.
Bob, I totally agree with what you just said. Because let me tell you this about me. Mm-hmm. Because I've been doing this for so long, mm-hmm. and I've seen so many newspaper articles, things that was written which I knew were lies. I've learned that when somebody tell me something, you're gonna get a phone call from me from the horse's mouth, so I could hear it from the horse's mouth. I want to hear from you. What did you really say? Because we all been around long enough to know that we could say something, and then we'll see it somewhere else and go, "That's not what I really said." Okay, so right. Absolutely right. I'm with you on that.
Right. What you got?
Once again, it was an Instagram post, so this was not an interview. For those of you guys that are viewing out there, and we're talking about the Ty Lawson comments directed toward University of North Carolina, as well as his former college coach Roy Williams, and one of the North Carolina basketball social media platforms posted the comments from Ty from his Instagram, or what it appears to be his Instagram account. So, like I said, I just wanted to dust on that because that was one thing, because I knew that you had your fingerprints on Ty Lawson, and Ty Lawson played for the Houston Rockets, so that's what made it news on Dual News. And we guys know, I think last I heard, I thought he was playing in China. Last I heard, if I'm not mistaken, but
He was. He
know that.
was.
But I got something for Gary, Jimmy, and I hope he can help me with this one. Gary, I saw some right before we came on the show. You know, I always check my feed right before we come on the show because it might be some hot. And Jeff Goodman, he talked about the Vanderbilt, Jerry Stackhouse. So you know all these college coaches. So I just helped the people and helped me. He said Stackhouse has promoted Damani Hendricks to take David Grace's spot as assistant coach. Staff is Stackhouse. They're looking at his staff. They said Hendricks, Adams, Mazzarell, and Faragi Phillips. He said, I've never seen a high major staff with less D1 recruiting experience since I have been covering college basketball. Could you explain that to me? Do you need me to read it again? Can you?
No. Yeah. Here's the bottom line.
Okay.
And I've been through this over and over and over, right?
Okay.
I find a lot of time when NBA guys come into the college world, they seem sometimes to think they have all the answers and that they can bring anyone with them and they're going to get recruits. What they don't seem to understand is that these kids, they cannot get past across the street. So in other words, most of these kids don't know who Jerry Stackhouse is. We know who Jerry Stackhouse is. They don't. St. John just went through the same thing with Chris Mullin. And I warned them back then. I said, look, Chris Mullin was in my time. These kids these days have no clue who Chris Mullin is. So what Stackhouse did was that he went and got people that he knew. No, Jerry, you better go get guys that's going to help you win some games, help you get some players. So he's learning a valuable lesson. Now, he may not come out and say it right now, but I'm sure at times he goes back home and he go, what the hell did I do? Okay, because you got to be able to go get guys, especially at Vanderbilt. You got to recognize where you at. Right. I always tell people all the time, like, when in home, okay, recognize where you at. Right. You at Vanderbilt. You can't just walk in there and thinking that you could have anyone on the staff. You need somebody out there that knows that can go out there and get you someone. So I was surprised at the staff he picked.
Okay. It surprised me, and I didn't understand. I guess David Grace was the guy that with the most experience, and when he left, that's the guy I think used to be at UCLA.
Listen, David is great.
Okay.
But David is from California. David was at UCLA.
Yes.
All right. And my thing is this.
State before then.
Listen, I could be whoever you want me to be, so to speak, here.
Right.
But if you take me to Arkansas, man, it's going to take me a minute to understand where the hell I'm at. All right?
I got you.
So now you asking David to go out there and go get these kids from California to come over. It's going to take a minute for him to do that.
Okay.
You're putting him in a tough situation to handle a battle all by himself. That's not fair.
I got you. What you got, Joe?
Not fair at all. Next up, speaking of something that just happened, give us your thoughts on the decision in New York City to cancel Rucker Park League this year.
Let me tell you this, man. Here's the problem here in New York. We have X amount of people who are trying to do the right thing in, staying sheltered, okay? But all it takes is one person to screw up the whole thing. And we have that here in New York. Like, I'm going to give you an example. I got a call 2 weeks ago from a good friend of mine who lived in Queens. And he said to me, man, I went outside. The fellas were on the corner. They were smoking their weed, and they're passing it on. I said, so in other words, they're looking to die, huh? That's what you're trying to tell me. So I think what happens is that at Rucker Park, if you guys know anything about Rucker Park, it's packed.
Yes.
We go crazy. It's a lot of black folks, okay? And sometimes they're not always doing the right thing. And I think that's the concern about that. That's a major hit for people in New York. But the reason for this is because there's going to be some people who are not going to do the right thing, and they're going to affect everyone else in the open park. I'm sure that's part of the reason why they did that.
Oh, okay, makes sense. Makes sense. So you have no problem with it's expected on your side of the fence.
Well, until we start doing the right thing, it is what it is. And I tell this to people all the time. Your action dictates what the next thing that has to happen. So if you're gonna continue to act like an idiot, now I gotta continue to treat you like a little kid.
So this now in grassroots teams up your way in the New York City area, are they playing? Have they resumed tournaments? I was reading yesterday that Oklahoma had actual tournaments this past weekend in the state of Oklahoma. The governing body of the high schools in Oklahoma had a 7-6 vote in favor of their high schools resuming all activities starting as effective June the 1st without any COVID-19 restrictions. This Oklahoma. So people are going to be watching them. Of course, we're next to Texas is next to Oklahoma. Dallas is about couple of hours away, drive away. Now, up there, what are they doing up there? What's the word up there in New York?
In New York, the governor is just started phase 1 here, where I live at in Long Island, starting tomorrow. So you're not allowed to play. Now, obviously, New York was the hardest hit. So he had to take, extra precaution in doing anything here. But here's what I've noticed. I've noticed that based on where you at, governors are doing different things. Like, for example, obviously, I've been talking to a lot of people in Las Vegas because that's where, I hold my big tournament. So I've been trying to find what's going on. And some of the people I talk to, guys, man, they're living their best life right now. It's almost like it's a different world. Okay, as they said to me, look, Gary, we've had less than 300 people get affected of, out here. So their mindset is not the same mindset that we have here on the East Coast. All right. So I don't want to totally condemn Oklahoma, although I'm shocked that you just said that to me, because it's like, whoa, that's interesting. All right. Maybe there's something he knows that I don't. Because as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't have expected that to happen this soon.
Yeah, I mean, it shocks down here in this part of the country as well. You spoke about the event in Vegas, Fab 48. You've been doing that tournament for quite some time now. I think, and you were affiliated with the Big Time before that. Tell us how was the Fab 48 formed? In what year? So people may not, that way now people can connect that Fab 48 and understand. Now they see your face and they'll say, oh, I didn't know that. How was it formed and when?
All right, well, first, we changed the name last year from Fab 48 to the Big Time. We went old school to bring it to new school. And the reason for that was because originally it was 3 of us. It was myself, Dinos Chagonis, and Grant Rice, who's the AD at Bishop Gorman. We formed it in 2010. The reason for that was because Sonny Vaccaro had just gotten out the business, so now we didn't have that tournament. And obviously, we still wanted to go out to Vegas. So Dino's approached me. He said, what do you think about us doing an event? You on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast. I know we can't do this without you being involved. I said, okay, fine. And I went to go meet Grant Rice, loved him as soon as I met him. Now, made some phone calls. The truth is, Dino said to me, Gary, I don't know if we're going to get more than 48 teams. And I said to him, I think we'll get more than 48, but okay, fine. And that was the formation of the name Fab 48. But in the first year, it was 110 teams in the first year. And 2 years ago, it was over 1,000 teams. Even last year, with the Big Time, and with the NCAA shutting us down as far as live period, no coaches were allowed, we still had 600 teams. That was probably the best tournament we ever had. It was that good, and a lot of it had to do with some of your boys out there in Texas, with the Texas Titan, coming in with their powerful team, among others. So, but the tournament started though in 2010.
And what we're doing is, meanwhile, when we're talking about this topic, we have a question from the Boom Boom Room, whereas one of the viewers is asking a question about the Fab 48. Theo asked, who was the best non-shoe teams to go into the Fab 48 and kill?
Wow. They were two teams. One team is called BTI All-Star out of Northern California. I don't know where he get these guys from, but he does a great job, with these kids, and they do exceedingly well. There was another year in which, I can't remember the name of the program, another Southern California team that were, pretty good. It's funny, there was a program called Grassroots Sizzles, who were not shoe affiliated at the time. And they had a young kid by the name of Jalen Suggs. And they kept bugging me to get in. I let them in, and they turned it out. And giving them that opportunity gave them a chance to get a shoe contract from Under Armour. And now they're one of the best programs in the country.
Yeah, grassroots season. And of course, Clyde Jackson is watching right now. He says he sent you little Bronny one year.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you this, man. Yes, he did.
Wow.
Yes, he did.
That's awesome.
All right. Now, Lil Bronny played last year. Okay, guys, let me just say this. Now, remember what I said. No college coaches. We had 600 million Google search for the big time tournament last year. All right. We were on ESPN twice as the top play of the day. We were on Entertainment Tonight, Good Morning America, TMZ. We were everywhere. Now, part of it was because LeBron was there. And LeBron went out and started dunking. He put on a dunk show.
That's right. Okay.
So, of course, that was on ESPN.
Right.
All right. But then just the sheer talent that was out there, it was just unreal. Paul Biancotti, and for those who don't know, he's a director for ESPN Grassroots Basketball. He ranks the players. And Clark Francis, who's Mr. Hoop Scoop, big time scout, both said it was the best non-live tournament that they had ever been to. All right. Even LeBron hung around to watch some of the games. Bronny came, and wherever he goes, here comes the crowd. Put on the show. What I love about Bronny, and I told this to his dad, I said, listen, your son is so subtle. He does all the right things, but real subtle, with no major fanfare, and always keep his cool. All right, I like that about him. He always makes the right pass. He takes the right open shot, plays the right defense, never says anything to the referee. Subtle is what I call him.
Now, what you got, Adam?
No, it's so funny that Gary said it, because I got a chance to see him at the EYBL, and he is just one of the kids out there. Between the games, I know security and everybody watch him. He used to he let them, no, y'all don't have to be close up by me. He just wanted to be and mess with the guys. I said, wow. Unbelievable. He can't ever be, but he seems like he just want to be one of the kids out there playing basketball, man. So
and that's exactly correct. They left after their particular game, and a couple hours later, the team came back, and I wasn't sure why they were coming back. Well, they came back to watch the game, and they actually came to watch Kate Cunningham and them play. Oh. Kate Cunningham and Greg Brown. They were playing against Immutable Elite with John Kuminga and the other guys, and they were jumping up and down, clapping, and he was like, you couldn't have said any better. He was just one of the fellas, just enjoying it.
Unbelievable.
And, one of the things, absolutely, LeBronny is, that what you see is what you get. His demeanor, he has a sort of a old soul in his demeanor, and been around him. It was, matter of fact, at the hotel, one of the events last summer, and one of the Nike events, and with the same hotel, and coming down, it's just was like, made a remark about my lid, him and his partner. Now them youngsters, they talk, then they get on out and you start laughing at them. I mean, but he's just, and if you think, Gary, that there's too much pressure on Bronny right now?
Well, Bronny had too much pressure from the minute he was born. Right? When you are the son of LeBron James, you're going to get the pressure. And answer your question, yes, because wherever he goes, it's it's a spectacle. I went to go watch them play at the UFO Classic in Massachusetts last year. Or was that early this year? The time just flying by now. But I'm trying to think. He might have played 4 or 5 minutes, but the place was standing room only, right? And when the game was over, probably a quarter of the people left. But as I said to LeBron, I love the way you and your wife are bringing this young man up, right? Allow him to be 14. Allow him to be a kid. There's nothing he can do about the crowd coming, all right? I don't ever see him go out of his game. Just like you said, I don't ever see him trying to do something that he's not capable of doing. And as far as LeBron, the way he reacts to me is like a lot of parents do. He's jumping up and down for his son. He's clapping for his son. He's doing what I would have done for my own. Mother's the same way. Okay, I love that. They don't try to be too big or too little, whatever. They just there minding their own business, enjoying their son playing the game that they all love. I love that.
You know what? I want to make a comment. Glad you said that. Speaking of kids, because sometimes kids are privileged. We talked about being born on third base and think you hit a triple yesterday. But I'm sitting here watching the interviews over the last month with Michael Jordan's kids, and let me tell you something, Gary Charles. They are the most intelligent and well-rounded and well-spoken kids. They've been talking more than they ever talked before. They've been on Good Morning, right. They've been on everything. That young woman, Jasmine, his daughter,
How about that?
Amazing. Marcus, amazing. Jeffrey, y'all got to go back. Do me a favor. Do yourself. Go to YouTube. We sitting here talking about LeBron. These two icons of men, LeBron James and Michael Jordan, they look at the kids they're raising. Jasmine is an executive with Nike. Jeffrey is doing some stuff with Nike. Marcus, the oldest one, he said he didn't want to work in corporate America. So guess what? He owns the trophy room down in Orlando that gets all the exclusive stuff from his dad. He just said that ain't my thing. He said that's them. I don't want no boss. That's what he was really saying. But they are 3 of the most well-rounded. And guess what? And I know Michael helped, but we haven't talked about how Juanita raised these kids.
Oh, man. So let's check this out. Let me jump on that. I'm glad you said that.
Come on, babe.
I ran an event in Chicago years ago. It was part of an organization we had called GBOA, Grassroots Basketball of America. Now, actually, that was the prelude to the EYBL. Okay, that's what helped EYBL get going. But anyway, tournament was out there, and Michael's kids were playing in the event. And the game went, maybe he played the next game or whatever, and somebody said, man, there's this woman that's always here all the time with these kids. And I looked and I said, God, that's Juanita. That's their mama. She never said a word.
Never.
She walked in real quietly. She went and sat in her little corner. I might have asked her if she needs some water or something like that. Nothing. All right. And when the game was over, they went to her, gave mama a hug and everything else. You are absolutely right. We don't give these women enough credit for the way they've been raising their kids. Absolutely right.
Jimmy, I had to add that, Jimmy, because I know how private. Because I know people in Chicago how private she's got on with her life. She got a boyfriend. I mean, they are so private. If I would like to say, Jimmy, that's how you take 168 million and just go on by your business. That's how she ain't all in the videos. She ain't all trying to sing.
Right.
It's just unbelievable. And I was looking at her absence from The Last Dance, which was classy. I knew she wouldn't want to be in there, especially when Michael got a new wife. But I am so proud of her. And she lives her life in total anonymity. Nobody never see her.
How about that?
Unbelievable.
And
Jimmy, you can go from there.
Speaking of The Last Dance, Gary, what's your thoughts on The Last Dance in the aftermath of it, now that at least 3 of his former teammates have directly or indirectly expressed displeasure on the way that they were portrayed or not portrayed in the so-called documentary?
Well, here's what I think. Now, I'm one of those guys, just so you understand, that doesn't believe everything in history. I firmly believe history is based on his story, okay? Meaning that the way they put it out there, okay? So Michael put the story out there based on the way he wanted to see it. And honestly, I always have a problem with revisionist history because, as you guys know, a lot of our Black history had been taken away. So I had problems with all of that, including grassroots history, when people be making up stuff about this person played with them, this person played with them. Go back to the Michael part. To not put Sonny Vaccaro as part of that, to me, was totally wrong. Because you know what? Most of us know Sonny is the one that helped Michael get the shoe deal. We all know that. It's kind of like us knowing our ABC. If you're in this game, you know that's what happened. So why are you going to pretend that man had nothing to do with it? You sent the people to interview him for 2.5 hours. Sonny was interviewed for 2.5 hours. And all you did was show his back. We need to stop with that because we're old enough to know. But the young people who don't really know Sonny like that, they don't know anything about it. Now, there was a show that came on last night on the Vice channel, and it was called One Man in His Shoe.
Yes,
And it came out last night, and it talked to all the people that dealt with the shoes and everything else. Peter Moore, who designed Air Jordan 1 and Air Jordan 2, said it last night. Sonny Vaccaro created the way Nike is today. If not for Sonny, and I know Phil Knight doesn't want to hear it, but those are the facts. Sonny and Robert Starcer helped get us to this point. Now, this is Peter Moore, who designed the sneakers. Those were his comments last night. So here's my point. My point is, whether we agree with it or not, man, just tell the right history. And I loved it. And don't get me wrong, I loved it. But because I'm an OG in this game,
right,
I know there was certain things that was missing that, like, well, that's not right. Why would you do that?
But Gary, they didn't have but 10 hours. They had to talk about Michael. He couldn't talk about Sonny. Maybe they need to make a Sonny, because Sonny is a whole 10 hours himself.
I hear you, baby.
You follow me? So, and I would like to know from you, since you're closest with Sonny, why did he leave him out? Is it because of Nike, Michael, or David Falk, or Estee Portnoy, Curtis Polk, the people that people don't realize, and I'm trying to give them names, that the people who control everything Michael Jordan do? Estee Portnoy, Google her. Curtis Polk, Google him.
You do a heck of a job with all the names, man. Well, here's what I think.
Okay.
This is my personal opinion, and I've told this to Sonny. Matter of fact, I just spoke with Sonny half an hour ago before I got on. All right, because we were discussing last night's show, and I said to Sonny, I said, "Look, Sonny, let's not act like you didn't do anything, okay? Let's not act like maybe Nike didn't have something to pick on,
okay,
in regard to your grind, to pick, okay? Because here's the deal, huh? The motive, exactly.
Right.
Now, Jimmy, wow, y'all been around in that ABCD camp was an unbelievable camp by Sonny.
Yes.
And every year, Sonny would get some kid that would normally be with Nike that instead would come over to ABCD. Okay, the Kevin Love, the Derrick Rose, the Derrick Cactus, people like that. So I just think that Nike said, we're not giving this guy any more power or anything like that because he was a thorn in our behind for years. Now, this is just Gary Charles, talking, okay? Because I don't understand it. Because I'm going to say this to you. When I do my book, which is going to be soon, whether I like somebody or didn't like somebody, dude, if you were part of my life, I'm gonna put it in there because I hate revisionist history. So, but I think that's the reason why it's Nike. They're totally doing this and they keep doing it. Okay. Now, by the way, on another note, real quick, if you watch Soul Man, 30 for 30, Soul Man was Sonny. It was one of the highest rated 30 for 30.
Yes.
After that, you see it on ESPN too, not on ESPN. Look, I'm not stupid. How do you one day decide you're going to put all the 30 for 30s on except for Soul Man? Whoa. All right? Okay. Look, listen, guys. Okay. I worked on Wall Street, fella, for 25 years. Okay? I know a thing or two. All right? And my common sense is telling me, okay, Nike, because they're powerful enough to be able to say, we don't want to see this on there. So that's what I think is going on.
That could be definitely right on it, and that's the politics of society, and and as you understand with your definitely Wall Street background. Now you mentioned a while ago about you, and that was one of the questions I was going to ask you about the book. You mentioned now Sonny, the leaves on the trees are whispering that he's possibly writing a book, and I always told Adam, I say, well, Adam, I'm from the street. Your book is your 401k. Your book is your retirement. That's your annuity. When I write the book, I mean you ain't coming back. You gone. So
it's like that.
Sonny writing a book.
You're damn right. I like that. I like that because one of the things that we've been doing, and that's why we talk almost every day, because we're going over a lot of things in the book. And as a unofficial historian about grassroots, he always makes sure he calls me and says, okay, Gary, what actually happened at this time? Let's make sure we get it right. And then sometimes I'll say, Sonny, maybe you should put that in the book. And he will say, I don't give a F. I'm done. I'm not coming back. So I like the fact that you just said that because that's exactly, what he said. So yes, he's definitely doing his book. And I've seen the first couple of chapters and people are going to be like, woof. All right. Absolutely.
So your book, how many years away are you from your book?
Look, I've been asked for years to do my book. And to be honest with you, I've been waiting on Sonny. Because I felt that that's the vision of Godfather in grassroots basketball, that he needed to do his before I do mine. But as I said to him a year ago, look, Sonny, tomorrow's not promised to us. I need you to go ahead and get this damn thing done so I can go ahead and start mine. Okay? So mine's not going to be, too much, further than his, okay? Because with this goddamn pandemic, man, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. So I need to start getting some stuff done, all right? And to be honest with you, I already started putting some notes together because Sonny gave me the okay. He said, young man, he always calls me young man. Young man, you need to go ahead and get yours started. That's all I needed to know.
Hannah,
we got something in common. We got something in common because I'm talking to my ghostwriter right now. What you say?
Okay. One, understand from your perch.
Okay.
On the tree.
Okay.
What is in today's society? What is more lucrative with the possibility, book or a screen for Gary Charles?
Book or screen? Well, write the book first. Write the book first. Right. Write the book first because the book can encapsulate so much. I mean, it can you can go forever in a book. Okay. The movie is going to be a condensed version of the book. So always write the book first. Always, I recommend everybody write the book first. And Gary, it's hard writing a book, Gary, because when she told me to get, but you know what she told me? She relaxed me, Gary. She said, that ain't your job to worry about your content. That's mine. You just sit down and talk to me. And talk to me, or tell me about your life, tell me about your story. And because see, I'm a note taker, Gary. So I don't have to write too many notes. I've been keeping a journal for a
Good
long,
for
long
you.
time. Since the
You sound
first
like
day,
Sonny.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Since the first day I met, not met, that I represented with Penny Hardaway. The first time I went down there to meet him, I journaled my first meeting. So all I did is transfer all that stuff to my notes. So it's gonna be, but I got, if you look at my phone, my son told my dad, it's just too many notes in a phone. It's almost 10,000 notes in your phone.
Wow.
Yes, of
You
just
know, hey Rob,
yeah.
you're right. So I used to read a lot of books because, you know, living on Long Island and working on Wall Street, you take a train in. The train is a 45-minute ride. It's called the Long Island Railroad. So I would read books.
Right.
And then eventually those books would become movies. So you're absolutely right. So you learn that you read the book and then the movie is obviously condensed. So that's exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
Now, as a matter of fact, I got a text earlier today from Joe Bryant, Kobe's dad. And he said, I'm going to call you later. What time is good? And I said to him, I got to go on a radio show. We're going to talk later because he knows we have to talk about my book. So he's already aware of it. So I'm telling you all this. So because Joe and I got to go over our notes as to the beginning of the whole situation of us signing Kobe to the Adidas deal and me being a major part of making it happen. Wally Zerbiak called me. And for those who don't know who Wally Zerbiak is, he played 15 years in the NBA.
Yeah.
Wally just happened to be texting me today because I had sent him a picture. He said, Coach, I love this picture. And I said, Wally, I'm about to do my book. I'm going to have someone give you a call. And he said, just let me know. So I'm with you, you know, on all of that, okay? So Sonny's going through obviously the same thing because I said to him, look, man, you have to do a movie. Now, here's the thing what people probably don't remember. Years ago, Sonny was going to do it and he stopped. He was actually going to do a movie, and James Gandolfini, who the star from The Sopranos, was going to play Sonny. So it was in the works before, all right? So we'll see. Can't wait for it.
Unbelievable.
Now, speaking of your, of course, Long Island, your Long Island background, you founded the program, the Long Island Panthers. That was one of the premier teams in the country when I dived into the grassroots scene. And just tell the viewers, just share some of your alumni from that Long Island Panthers program.
Well, the list, we did really well, all right? Some of the players that played for us, as I mentioned, Wally, Lamar Odom, Joakim Noah, Danny Green, Skip to Malou, who played out there with you, Mike James was out there, Lance Stevenson, Sebastian Telfair, Charlie Villanueva, Mo Hawkins, who's with the Knicks right now, Speedy Claxton, Khalid El Amin, Drew Nicholas, who won a championship at Maryland. So Kenny Satterfield also played in the NBA. Malik Allen played 12 years in the NBA. I think we had over 20 pros, you know, out of our program. And that's not even including guys who played overseas. So the list goes on.
And now your top 5 grassroots programs of all time.
That's big.
In the country. I'm just
in the country.
Who would give us your starting 5 of grassroots programs?
Here's what I would say, guys. I think we have to go back to the beginning and to acknowledge the people that opened up the door for us. And I say that to say that we have to start with Riverside Church and the New York Gauchos, because before most of us even knew what was going on, they were doing their thing, okay? And when I was coming up, they're the ones I look to see where we was at. Okay, because every time you do something, you got to be looking at someone you're trying to reach. And they were the program that I was trying to reach. So I would have to start with them. Now, as far as other programs, it's all going to be biased. It's going to be based on sometimes where you come from. You're going to push this guy, that guy. But I would tell you guys, there were a lot of phenomenal, program over the years, including the Houston Hoops, the Southern Cal team, out there. Okay.
Southern California
California All-Stars. All right. I love what the Indy Speaks did. And they weren't as long, but for them to have had Mike Conley, Greg Oden, and for people who don't understand, Greg Oden was picked number 1 in the draft behind Kevin Durant. Greg Oden was that good, and then he got hurt. For them to have those guys, Eric Gordon, as part of the program is just amazing. Okay. Every day I hear people arguing about the top program. I do believe Atlanta Celtics was also one of the top programs around because they're still going on. They're still getting it done. So I look at things a little differently, meaning I look at not only great program, I look at longevity. Obviously, you have people maybe who had one particular year or 2 great years, those type of things, okay? But those programs, to me, were tremendous programs. But I could sit here with you and give you a reason for BABC to be one of the top programs out of Boston. I could sit there and argue with you about other programs like the Players out of Jersey, Jimmy Sandler's program over the years being one of the top programs. I could sit here and tell you DC Assault, okay, was one of the top programs around that Curtis Malone, created. Guys, listen, we didn't have a shortness of great programs back then. And you know why? Because back then, you didn't have a grassroots program on every corner of the street. So back then, you had only selected program with the top guys in your state. So it made everyone really, really good. Now, mind you now, I didn't mention Mac Irvin, all right, who was tremendous and still getting it done out of Chicago, all right? There's a lot. And so for me, it's kind of like that argument right now, okay, who is the greatest? Is it really Michael? Is it LeBron? Hell, we could sit there and argue. I could make an argument and tell you it was really Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Okay, so we could go on and on, discussing these things. That's why I just like to honor all of them and recognize that it was a whole lot of great, because my list is going to be different than your list, Bob's list, and so on and so on.
But, Gary, I was just like, what do you think about the growth, like of summer basketball or grassroots basketball? You even said this summer, I remember you talked to us about this before, this summer when coaches weren't even able to come to your event, you still had record number of people coming through the turnstile, through the doors. Record, did you say 600 million viewers on social media or 60 million? Did you say 600?
600.
600 million?
Yeah, listen, this is what my daughter told me, because my daughter handles the social media aspect. Yeah. So her and my a PR woman, Alexis Robinson. Let me say my daughter's name, Dominique Charles, so I'm gonna get in no trouble. All right, that's what they told me. Okay. So your question is why? Yes. Here's what I would say. Think about this, guys. When we were growing up, we just wanted to play ball. We went from park to park and played ball. And when we didn't get that competition in one park, what did we do? We got on our bike and went to another park.
Right.
All right.
Right.
When I first started, if I played in 11 tournaments in a year, well, 7 of them were not live. The first time I ever met Kobe, it was in a tournament called War in the Woods. It was in South Jersey. Not live. It was in South Jersey. You drive it out of nowhere. You make a quick left somewhere in the middle of the woods. You drive for a mile. As you drive, all of a sudden it opens up in the middle of the woods. The guy had 3 courts outside. 3 courts outside, right next to his house. That's what we were playing at. At midnight, we had a game. War in the Woods. And I remember one time, one of our guys was running late, and he showed up right before the game was about to start because he wanted to drive his car. Okay. Well, it wasn't his car. It was really his brother's car, but he wanted to drive the car.
Okay.
It was Zach Marbury, and he was driving his brother Stefan's car. But he showed up, and the game is at midnight. No coaches. So my point that I'm making is that if you're a ball player, you're just going to ball. The same reason sometimes with Kobe, one time showed up. What did he do? He played with Rucker Park. Kevin Durant played at Rucker Park. Think about the leagues across the country that these guys are playing in. They just balling. So that's what's going on now. And here's the other thing, guys. With the advent of social media, you don't need coaches now. All you got to do is show up and play. There's going to be a scout. There's going to be somebody with Instagram. There's going to be somebody with Twitter. So you're being watched all the time now, wherever you at.
Gary, you've seen talent come and go on all corners of the country. Good question I have for you right now. Is New York City still the mecca of basketball? And if not, when did it lose that belt?
I'm going to give you a story. I was on a podcast a month ago, and here's what I said. I remember that when the Dream Team went overseas, and when they went overseas, we demolished everyone. But here's what we did. We enthused the world to go out there and start playing. And what's happened is now the talent across the world has gotten better. All right. So the United States is not looked upon as just the only country that could play basketball. I remember in 1996, guys, this is real familiar to me. Riverside Church that year went 59-1. And by the way, for the record, Lamar Odom did not play with them. Lamar Odom was with us. But they went 59-1. Okay. They had Ron Artest, Elton Brand, Eric Barker. They were loaded. We were out there with Lamar Odom, Malik Allen. We were loaded. Khalid El-Amin. And I remember we beat Southern Cal, who had not lost in 2 years. That's what I was told. And in the paper the next day, they said, hey, the New York teams, the Dream Teams. And I was talking to a couple of guys from California. Here's what they told me. They said, you know what, Gary? You just inspired us to get started. And I think what ended up happening is that once we started to travel, New York started to inspire other areas to start playing. Because, guys, let's face it, back in those days, in Texas, it was all football. It wasn't basketball like that. It was all football. In Florida, it was all football. Then all of a sudden, the same athletes that were playing football decided, you know what, let me go play some basketball. They started to play. So now what's happening is that the rest of the country has caught up. So when some of my guys say, man, New York, man, what are we doing? Yo, fellas, we didn't do a damn thing. The rest of the country have figured this out. They're balling too. Recognize that and respect that. So that's how I look at that. I watched that evolution of it happening. I remember watching Aaron Williams playing against us out of Texas. Dude, he had 5 threes against me, like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, what the hell? What's going on here? 2 minutes left in the game, I started fouling his ass. Okay? I started fouling him so he wouldn't hit no more goddamn three. People thought it was controversial. I was like, nah, they're doing it, right?
Right.
Well, hell, I was doing it back then. So all I'm saying is that some of the things that we were doing, the rest of you around the country have caught up. And as far as I'm concerned, kudos to the rest of the country because it helps me in my goddamn tournament.
Wow.
Now, somebody asked earlier, are you still proceeding with hosting the Las Vegas, the big time that used to be known as the Fab 48 this summer in Vegas?
Yeah, you know, guys, this is like the toughest thing that I feel that I'm dealing with, that I'm going through, you know, right now. All right, because I'm in shelter in place here in New York. But Bigfoot announced that they're doing it, their tournament. And that other people have been trying to get into Vegas to run an event. And let me tell you something that I learned. You never let somebody come into your turf. Because once you do, it's going to be hard to get them out. So because of that, yes, if the governor opens up that state, I am going to run the big time tournament, because if I don't, somebody else will come in, and then now I gotta get to a fight next year, and I'm not going down easy. So yes, that's where we at right now. We actually announced it just yesterday because I was told that the governor of Nevada is going to announce today that they're going into phase 2, I think by the end of the week or something like that. Okay, so meaning that everyone in Vegas is expecting phase 3 to get going in July, and that we're going to be able to have our events. So who am I to watch everybody else do their thing and not us? So yes.
We got a story. I think it's a question about our last topic, Gary, and I guess it's directed at you because we talk about the New York. Have the rest of the world caught up with New York? And Herb Baker, he just said New York and New Jersey were ahead of the game because their players were older and had been reclassified. Now that the rest of the country is doing the same thing, New York basketball has become irrelevant. I wouldn't say irrelevant, but could that be a reason the reclassification?
Well, here's the thing.
Could that be? Okay.
Yeah, now here's the thing. He is correct in the fact that in the Northeast, a lot of kids were reclassifying. Okay. So meaning that we were ahead of the curve saying we're going to reclassify this guy. That's true, because I remember at one point I had to tell the people in Vegas that was running the original Las Vegas big time tournament. There was an argument because the rest of the country said we don't have prep players. Why are we allowing prep players in New York? I got it. So I created a rule saying that you can't have more than 2 or 3 on the team. Okay, so I remember that. So they're right. And then eventually, like they're saying, they caught up. But that wasn't all of the reason. I really think that at that time, it was because of the fact that there just weren't as many teams. But now in New York, guys, hold on, I'm gonna shut my phone here.
Okay, go do your thing. I thought you was jamming over there.
You know, now in New York, right? There's a team in every corner. So when there's a team in every corner, that means instead of maybe 4 kids who are stars playing on one team, now they're being spread out. So that's the reason why sometimes you don't see as much talent. And now I think some of you guys are going through the same thing. Because at one point, I thought you guys had X amount of team in Texas, that played, that were really good. But now you have the same issue, if not worse, than us. In that there are teams all over. Like I can run my tournament just on teams from Texas alone, so to speak. Okay, right. So I mean, I get it. I'm okay with it.
Well, and I wanted to add another thing to that, and a lot of people may not realize is that when it came to the amateur basketball sector, and back in the days when the East Coast, New York City, you guys, under 2 things that a lot of times people indirectly they leave out or they don't factor in, and that is 1, a vast majority of the amateur media were based on that East Coast.
Right.
People just don't realize that. Number 2, the next biggest step up from the amateur sector of the high school ranks to college at the time was the fact that the Big East was the only conference to have a TV deal on Monday on weekdays. They had the Big Monday. That was, and Chris Walker alluded to, and he confessed to himself. He said, hell, that was the deal breaker. Either it was going to be Georgetown or Villanova.
Hell of a statement. That's a great statement, Jimmy, because you're right. Because I know this, that when the Big East was formed and our guys was watching it, dude, all those kids like, man, I want to play here. Or I want to play there. Because now they were seeing all the games on TV. You're right. The other people didn't have those particular deals. So every kid in Jersey, New York, Connecticut, whatever, they wanted to play because they wanted to get to that point to be able to play for one of those, Big East teams. That's a heck of a statement that you're right, that people don't take into account. Good for you.
Yeah. And so now, speaking of, you mentioned your Wall Street, you worked on Wall Street for over 2 decades. And a lot of people not understand it. Tell the viewers what you did on Wall Street. And if there was any way that you tried to relay some of that financial literacy to a lot of your players in your Long Island Panthers program?
Well, Jim, obviously you know me for a long time, so you understand what I'm about to say to you. When I worked on Wall Street, there weren't too many blacks. I was a systems program, okay, from a software standpoint. So in other words, when there were problems on the software end, they came to me. I had to keep the system going, tune in the system, put in new installation, things of that nature. So I was that guy that if the system collapsed, I would be the guy that the stockbrokers would be, where the F is Gary Charles? Because now they're losing money. So now people had to come and find me because I needed to get the systems up. And there were times that the systems went down, we were losing $1 million a minute, okay? See, everyone thinks that I was just doing basketball. Basketball was just something I was just enjoying, trying to keep the kids off the street. But one of the things that I did with that, when I left work, I went straight to, let's say, the Gauchos gym in a tournament or whatever with my suit on. And I did it because I wanted the kids to see there was more to life than just being a hustler on the street and things of that nature, that we could put a suit on, okay, and be just fine. And I'll never forget that there was a young man who was being recruited by Coach John Chaney from Temple. Was another story. And Coach John Chaney said, "What would you like to do one day?" And he said, "I want to become a businessman like my coach, Gary Charles." And that's really what I was trying to do. And the Panthers, because later on we changed to the New York Panthers, became a lot bigger than I thought. And obviously because of me meeting Sonny. Because without him, all of us would not be where we at, because Sonny is the first one to decide that I'm going to give you guys money. And see, I was like the college coach is like, wait a minute, you're going to give me money to go play? Because I was the first one that he gave the money to. And then he said to me, now I need you to go find some more like you. All right. So my Wall Street background helped me to stay ahead of the game, to understand the bigger picture of what Sonny was trying to do. Okay. And Wall Street, and guys, let me just say this. I tell this people all the time. The mob has nothing on Wall Street. All right. That's a cutthroat business out there. Okay, guys? Real cutthroat. And let me share a quick story with you that you'll enjoy. I'm in Vegas at a tournament. I get a call from my people on Wall Street, and they say, "Hey, Gary, we just went and did the system work. We just went and did a disaster recovery test. So back then, you had to do a disaster recovery test in case something happened. How would you react? How would you come back and fix it?" I'm in Vegas, and they said to me, "Gary, your programs was 85% correct, but you have 15% that's not right. You're going to have to fix that when you get back." And I said, "When's the next recovery test?" They said October. I said, "Fine. That means I have plenty of time." Guess what, guys? That was the year 2001. 9/11 happened. I am walking to my job. I am watching the building collapse, okay, in front of my face. And I'm saying to myself, oh my God. Now keep in mind what I just said. Now, my programs now have to be recovered to another area. And the people already told me 15% of it didn't work right. So all kinds of things are going through my mind. And I'm thinking, God damn it, I was at a basketball tournament when I was supposed to be a Wall Street, logical vacation. You know how we do it, right? Those times were my vacation. My partner made sure that he didn't go anywhere because he knew those 2 weeks in the summer were dedicated to us going to Vegas and LA. And now I was going to have to pay the price, because now I was going to have to figure something out really quick to get these things going on, before people found out that 15% of my stuff, didn't work. That was my world. And people didn't understand it. They never knew that. People had no idea that I was getting phone calls at 4 o'clock in the morning from Japan, or 3 in the morning from China, or midnight in London. That was Gary Charles' world. The basketball was my weekend thing.
Wow, Gary, I'm so intrigued. Because I forgot the story you was on Wall Street because my son happened to be in that arena now. He's up there in New York and on Wall Street, but you said something about your dress, and is there a direct correlation to the two most successful athletes in the game of basketball, Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan? I'm talking about successful off the court. I noticed how they dressed after and for an interview. After every time they waited till they put on their suits before they went and addressed the world. Is there a direct correlation of why these guys were so successful and businessmen flock to these guys instead of the other guys? These guys are owners. Michael Jordan owned part of the LA Dodgers. He could have owned part of the Lakers. He did. And Michael owned this. Is there a direct correlation with guys, how you dress? How people
I've been telling people for a very, very long time that recognize the world that you're in. You may not like the way people treat blacks, whites, or whatever, however they do it. Recognize and adapt to that, because then you can make a change. And I'm saying that to say yes, okay, because the way you carry yourself, the way people see you will determine how they react to you. Michael shows up every single time with a suit on. So does Magic. And when I see it, I'm like, Even earlier, when you and I were talking earlier, first thing you said to me, what's the first thing you said? You said,
you're sharper than Dick was when Hattie died.
That's exactly what you said. And that's what you noticed right away.
Yes.
And I learned that. Now, let me tell you guys, how I learned that. It's a true story. I'm in 6th grade. My father comes walking in for whatever reason. My father used to work for IBM way back when, before that was a thing. My father was working for IBM. Wore a 3-piece suit every single day. By the way, my father is 6'4". Nice looking guy. He comes walking in, and I noticed the way the teachers were looking at him. And I heard one of them said, that's a fine looking man. And I said, you know what? Well, I'll be damned. That's going to be me. So I learned that lesson in 6th grade. And I also noticed that in 8th, 9th grade, I started to dress, wear my hats. I noticed that people were looking at me differently. Fellas, I was carrying a briefcase in college. I noticed the way that the teachers and the financial aid people, how they looked at me, and just the way I was dressed. So that was a lesson that I learned a long time ago. All right. And I tell kids this all the time. You want to get a job? You want to get, be successful? Carry yourself a certain way, whether you like it or not. Okay. You better do it, because there's a whole lot of competition out there. What's going to separate you from the next person?
And Gary, so unique you said that. So unique you said that. When I travel, every time I'm traveling, Gary, I don't travel in warm-ups. I always, for the last 30 years, I always wear my suit or a jacket. A lot of reasons is I don't want to wrinkle it up, because usually I got a meeting soon as I get off the flight.
Right.
So I want to have that suit, that jacket. But they treat me so much better.
Those are facts.
I get upgraded.
Facts.
I get upgraded a lot more. Mr. Hatter, Mr., do you want me to hang your jacket up? I'm not even first class, but I guess my jacket I can hang your jacket up in the front. So it makes a lot, it makes so much difference.
I'm gonna tell you this, right, guys? And I know people don't want to hear it.
No,
but you know what? I'm the type of guy, I'm just gonna keep it real. Because here's the way I look at it. No one's paying my salary, so I can just keep it real. You know what I mean? Now, think about when Allen Iverson would come out. Allen would have his sweatsuits on. He would have his gold on. Now, Allen was Mr. Hip Hop, and the kids loved him. Okay? Michael would come out. Michael had his suit on. Boom. Now, Allen is gone. Look at the way the NBA, echelon have treated him since then. And look at the way the other guys Grant Hill's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Carrying himself properly and everything else. Look what's going on with Grant Hill.
Yes.
Sharif Abdul-Rahim is now running the G League.
Yes.
Okay, it matters, guys.
It matters.
Okay, people want to see somebody that could represent them. And I always remember an NBA GM said this to me, Gary, we will keep a guy as long as he's beneficial to us. But once he's not, we're gone. And I watched it over and over. Okay.
Great. And Gary, I just glad you brought it up because I see it so much. Man, I don't want to get put up. Man, that's what we used to do to Penny. That's why Penny used to always show up. Look, now and Gary, I never forget. And he'll tell you, going for the Memphis job, I said, them people can't just think of you as a basketball coach. They got to think of you as a leader of men. Because they got it's a basketball coach on every corner. But not too many people that they feel that they can lead. That's why a lot of these guys don't. We're going to get into one day, but not this show. We're going to get into a show about the hiring of black coaches in NFL. These guys, these owners don't look at them as, hey man,
they don't.
We having a dinner at the governor's mansion. You're invited. So I got another question from Trina Mouton, and she said, ask him, what is his opinion on the biggest difference in basketball on the East Coast in Dallas versus Houston? Now the competition, recognition, is it any better or worse in one place or the other? The recognition.
I think the biggest thing that, and Jimmy said it, is that in this area, it's just so much social media, and that this is the marketing capital of the world. I was having a conversation last week with someone, and they said to me, what is the great thing about being a basketball team in New York and the worst thing? And I said to them, the best thing about being in New York is that you have social media, you have the people watching you all the time, you have the fans there, it's great. And they said to me, what's the worst thing? I said, the worst thing is you have all the marketing people here, you have all the social media. My point is, what's good is also what's bad. We have too much of it, here, okay? So to me, that's the difference. But I think it's getting closer. And again, a lot of it is because not every kid now is their own scout. Everything is on IG and everything else. Because it used to be at one point that I felt that the California kids were more finesse. They were the finesse players, shoot the jump shot, this type of thing. New York, like, gotta be the point guard, gotta show off. You gotta, the
handle.
Boom, boom, boom. The handle. Yeah. If you didn't have the handle, you were no one. Okay. And I'm like, yo, fellas, I couldn't understand it. I used to be like, but you got your goddamn mind? Can you pass the damn ball? The best point guard I ever saw on the grassroots level was Kenny Anderson. And then it became Jason Kidd. And the reason was because Kenny would get the ball and if someone would be open and he just gave it up. And the person would get a layup. Because most New York kids, they get all the way to the foul line before they give it to you. By that time, there's two guys guarding you.
Right.
Excuse me. So I thought that was always the issue. And I just thought the other part of the country were trying to play the game the way they needed to play, to be quite honest with you, okay? Right. Like, take my little jump shot, my little 10-footer, make the right pass, those type of things, all right? And so to me, the West Coast, especially California, they're more finesse. With, so everyone's got their little thing. You go like in Chicago, boys are tough, man. They're grinding. They mean that toughness. If you go down south, these guys, I don't know what kind of potato they eating down there because they all can jump and leap, and strong. So those are the things that I see in the different areas.
You know what? And I think this was like here, we have a Dallas versus Houston thing. Competition, recognition. On the East Coast, do y'all have that kind of stuff? You got guys down here that might not. If you're in Dallas, if a player in Houston not good, they don't support that player. Player in Dallas like that. Do y'all have that? I think that's what they try.
You know
to
what?
On this
I remember that. I remember when we were here in New York. dude, it was like cutthroat. We were, trying to go after each other. But when we left New York, we were rooting for each other because, we were so damn arrogant. We didn't want anyone to think we were better than us. It was like, yo, who y'all playing? You're playing so-and-so? We'll be there. And then if Riverside was playing, we're like, what time y'all play? We'll be there. That's how arrogant we were. Like, nobody's better than us. Nobody, like, you can't be better in New York at that time. That's what was going on. So we didn't get into that where you worrying about those type of things. Okay, we were more concerned about let's go get the rest of the country. Because look, let's face it, up here, one tournament you win, the next tournament the other team wins, then the next tournament. That's just the way it was. I think there was a span of 5 years where we might have played Riverside 12 times. Maybe it was 6-6, something like that. Okay, so we kind of like just knew that after a while and just like let's go after everybody else.
Wow.
Now, your thoughts, Gary, on the NCAA name, image, likeness. What do you think is going to? We know that they're going to pass it, so that's not even the issue. But how do you think this ends up 3 years from now?
You know what, guys? This is something that Sonny and I have been pushing for 15 years. All right, and I remember even some of the media people now who are harping it like this is great used to argue with us, and I'm not going to say who they are. And as I said to them back then, I also remember when people thought it was okay for us to be drinking out of different water fountain. Now it might look like it's ridiculous, okay? But y'all didn't think it was ridiculous back then. So my point that I'm making here is this, okay? A couple years from now, we're going to look at this and we're going to say, why the hell did it take so long for this to happen? Because here's the thing. You cannot be making billions of dollars off these kids and think this is okay. It's kind of like the master saying, why won't you why won't you pick my cotton? I'm giving you a roof over your head. What's the big issue right here? It is a goddamn problem. Okay? Why don't I get a piece of this goddamn cotton? So those are the issues that I've been having for years, and people hate to hear it. And as I said to them, why does it take so long for people to do the right thing? Why does it have to take 10 to 15 years for people to do right by us? Because let me tell you this, you don't have this problem in baseball. You don't have this problem in tennis. You don't have this problem in golf. Why is that? What, am I stupid? Right? Because those are white sports. But the issue is football and basketball. Whoa, blacks? Okay. So because of what's going on now, guys, there's a tornado that's coming, and you can't stop it now. So it's just going to keep coming. So I think that within 3 years, that kids are going to make their money. Kids are going to be even smarter about it. Okay? And then now schools are going to embrace it. Schools are going to use part of that as their tools to recruit kids. Now, do you think that NCAA did not notice that when California said, hey, we're going to pass the law in California that you could use your likeness? You don't think that they didn't know that kids were saying, holy shit, I'm going to California then? You're damn right. So that's what's going to happen. And I'm telling you, we're going to look back and we're going to say, why did it take so long? Did that really happen before? Remember, there was one point that we couldn't dunk because of one guy, because of Kareem. Okay? So that'll pass too. So I'm just glad they finally decided to do some. I believe the NCAA need to do some other thing, but that's another show.
There's some other things like what?
Well, I just think that the NCAA operates kind of like in a Gestapo type thing. Like they don't recognize our students, as kids and players. Like for example, the rule of you a student athlete. See, they do a great job of marketing that. Like, let me give you an example. You're a star. You come to school. You pass classes in December. That automatically makes you eligible to play the next semester. You don't have to go to another goddamn class because you know you're leaving in April. How the hell is that a student athlete? You went to school for 3 months, basically. So I just think like things like that. Let's just be real about it. Is what I'm saying. Like, let's just change things for the better. In that one person is making all the money. It's okay for a college coach to make $4 or $5 million. Okay, but you're saying that the kid can't. You're saying that, okay, kids are going to classes. They don't go to classes when they got to leave on Wednesday to get to a game. You don't have no problem with that. But you have a problem with grassroots saying we're leaving for a tournament. So all these hypocritical things that I see, it boggles my mind. And these are the kids making all this money, for them day to day. And they're not just making the money for the coaches, they're making the money for the new building that's being created, every other month at the school. They create money for the other sports that's there, and they can't get anything. You just scored 25 points. You just won the game, and then you go outside and there's your jersey out there. You can't buy your own damn jersey, but everybody else is buying your jersey with your goddamn name on it. But if you do something like that, it's illegal. Really? Wow.
Now, Hattie, you had something?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I mean, I want to get into another quick topic. We only got about 10 minutes left, and this is really got actually two topics, but this one I'm going to jump right into, and that is in amateur basketball. How did it come to be that the vast majority of the powers that be in amateur media are not of color, but then the vast majority of your players and even your coaches, when you're talking about 17U, are of color?
Say that again,
I think,
Jimmy, I want to hear that one more time because I want to comment after Gary finishes. Say it again.
The vast majority of the players and the coaches on the 17U and grassroots are minority, of color. Hell, black.
Okay. Yeah.
But the vast majority of the people that I call them amateur media, meaning that you cover the guys that from the Rivals to the Scout.com to 24/7 to the guys in the vast majority of the heavy ink is not of color. How did they come?
I think, Jimmy, some of this is this, right? Our group of people, and as you said, black, have still not understand that there is a big world now in the sport of basketball. You don't to participate in basketball. You don't just have to be just play basketball. There are other avenues that you can go on to be just as big of a part. And what's happened is that the other groups, white, Asian, or what have you, have figured that out because they're not as good. So they figured it out that, you know what, I can become coach, a general manager, the guy behind the camera, a scout, things of that nature. And I've said that to certain kids, like, look, basketball now is billions of dollars. You don't just have to play the game. Look around you. Look who's here. They're making money off of watching you play right now. Okay, we haven't gotten that yet. We're always behind. And I've been watching this for a while, so that's a heck of a question. And I've tried to explain that to my guys. Listen, take this basketball and allow this to help you create a future. Don't have to be just playing. Basketball is your best friend. Take advantage of that.
But I got a bigger question. I got a bigger comment. And I just feel it's mirroring society. Have you ever been to an NFL game and go in the press box? Nothing but whites. Bill Roden, a couple of more guys might be Larry Fitzgerald dad. It might be the only two guys in there. Have you ever been into a basketball game? Look at press row.
Think about what you just said. They have figured out that, you know what, I'm not that good, in basketball, but somehow there's careers have been built on the other things. So they started from young in that, you know what, maybe I'm going to be a writer. Maybe I'm going to be a scout. Maybe I'm going to be a GM. So they've been working at that for a long time. Whereas what do? I want to be a pro. I want to be a pro basketball player. So we've been at that for a long time without realizing there's other things we can do with that.
We have been on this show, I know for years, I have talked about the jobs. I talked about each NBA teams have created a social media department. And probably all of them are, we consume this more than anybody. This phone in my hand. We consume this Twitter and the stuff. But those 30 teams in the NBA, it's a kid that don't look like none of us that's running their social media department.
Absolutely.
Because we want to be a basketball player.
We want to be a basketball player.
And we haven't thought about, that's why we love doing an intern on this show. Because it needs more people. We need more young kids understanding I can talk about this sport and report this sport and analyze this sport. I don't have to be a player. And we have to understand, when I look in the gym, Gary, I promise you, when I come to your events, I look around. That's why I love your events. That's why I love Jimmy's events. The reason I support and love y'all's event, because I walk in there, because I've seen a lot of other events, and I walk in there and I see the players on the floor are black. The parents are black. Everybody's black. And then somebody that's not black running or own the tournament. So it's a black man playing the game, but it's a white man's business. You and Jimmy has made it your business to get y'all some of that business. And people don't understand it. When I talk about it in my industry, being a sports agent, people look, don't say that. But we sitting here worried about, Gary, we got to conquer this whole mindset, this whole paradigm. We can't help your industry until we help all the industries. All industries. You can't complain about a black coach not getting a job in the NFL, but when he was a player, he had a white agent.
How about that?
We can't complain. Have y'all noticed, Gary, and I'm glad you're here. Have you noticed they're complaining about the black coach? See, this last cycle, man, black coaches did not get hired in the NFL. It took us back. It's so bad that they're trying to give up a draft choice. They trying to give up.
How about that? Isn't that crazy?
But let me show you something though.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed Herb Baker and John Newsom? Have you noticed that the players haven't stood up in solidarity to talk about let's have new black coaches? The players has never spoken out against it. Have y'all noticed it? It's 70% black players. The players has not, because why? Because they grew up high school, they had white coaches. In college, they had white coaches. So it's normal to them, our black players. I don't see nothing wrong with it. It ain't affecting me until your black butt get out and try to get you a job and try to be one of these coaches. And the owner won't hire me because I'm black. But dude, you didn't speak out. Players, you got power. Speak out and say why you're not hiring our black coaches. If we can play it, we can coach it, or we can GM it.
I'll go one step further. I've also noticed that not a lot of black college coaches are being hired anymore. We miss the days of the John Thompson, the John Chaney, the Nolan Richardson, who all spoke up. We don't have that. Too many guys like that. I remember way back when I used to try to get some of the guys together and say, hey, listen, why don't we help the MEAC conference? Why don't we help the SWAC conference? If you have a kid, he's only going to be in school for a year, let him go to the MEAC conference. Allow them to make the money. I mean, hell, he's leaving in a year. He's not staying in North Carolina for 3 or 4 years. He's not staying at Duke for 3 or 4 years. Why don't we get together? I'll send one to one school. You send one somewhere else. Let's elevate them, okay? Because we're not helping the situation. Exactly what you said. It's not just the players, but us. You know, as grassroots coaches, we can do something about it, and we don't. We don't look at the big picture. And I keep telling people all the time, when you don't look at the big picture, you're going to get left behind. It may not be today, but it will be at some point. And I have always understood that and try to stay ahead of the game because I try to educate. Mm-hmm. But my man, if you don't want to get on the train, I'm getting on the train and I'm leaving. So I'm going to give you the info. Right. I'm giving you the answer to the test that you don't want to take it. There's nothing else I can do. And I don't think we do that enough.
Wow. Jimmy?
Indeed, man. I mean, we're getting ready to land the plane shortly. Got a couple of questions that we left on the table. I want to toss them to you from some of the viewers. And if you are on the YouTube page right now, watching us live on YouTube, we're streaming simultaneously, YouTube and Facebook. YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Those of you on Facebook right now, take the time out to share the show if you haven't done so already. I'm going to tell you one thing. This has been one great hell of a convo with Gary Charles. But lastly, one viewer has asked, they want to know, in New York City, in the high school settings, is it the prep academy Catholic schools? Are they the big dogs, or is the regular public schools the big dogs?
Catholic. I mean, the Catholics are definitely the bigger dogs. The public schools are good too, but the Catholic schools, you know, like the Christ the King, the St. Raymond's, and schools of nature are definitely big. The other issue, though, not an issue, but the other thing that's happened in New York, and Rob alluded to this earlier, in that up here, the prep schools are really, really big because a lot of the kids end up going to, you know, to prep school. Okay, so Catholic League is not as good as it used to be because they're losing so many kids to prep schools around the Northeast area.
And also another viewer asked, how tall are you? Somebody asked that. That was earlier. I want to get to that.
You know, it's funny. My whole life, it's never something that I ever, you know, thought about. You know, like my whole life, as far as I was concerned, I was 6'4", but I'm really 5'5". But it's never been a thing I've never even thought about it. Never been, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I've always been that dude. So you couldn't tell me a damn thing. That's just the way I've treated my life.
And Gary, like D.L. Hughley said, y'all thought I was tall. He said, I'm taller when I'm standing on top of my wallet.
I like that, man. I like that.
Tell a connection indirectly. They're both in two different states right now, but they're from Louisiana, and that is Damian Johnson, who's living in California. He wants to give you a shout out back from the
What's up, D?
Jazz program back in the days, and also Randy Livingston is live on the feed right now.
My man. Hey, Randy, you coming out, man? That's my boy, man. We go way back. That's my man, Randy. By the way, people don't understand it. Randy was one of the baddest dudes I ever saw back in the day. Randy was a bad boy. People just didn't recognize that because he got hurt. Well, woo, Randy, I appreciate you, man.
And
big time.
Tim Madden said something. He said something about, do you think Curtis Malone should start DC Assault back since he's out of prison?
Well, no. First of all, there's a DC premiere. So what people don't understand is that having a shoe contract helps you to stay elevated at the top. And I think shoe companies are gonna shy away from my boy. And by the way, I'm the guy that gave Curtis his first shoe deal, you know, with Adidas. Okay. So Curtis and I are really close. That's my guy. Right. People are gonna shy away from him. I think before he does that, I think Curtis needs to get together with his family, spend some time with them, get his head and mind right before anything else. That's what I think.
Awesome.
And lastly, your thoughts on the NCAA situation with that resulted in 4 Black assistant college coaches getting convictions.
Oh, dude, man, you getting into all kinds of things. Let me just say this, okay? Because I have spoken with with Book Richardson about this numerous of time. Book is a very close friend of mine who was coaching in Arizona. And I'm just gonna be blunt about this, okay, guys?
I'm ready.
I have problems in that it's always the black guy that gets caught. We are all smart enough to know this thing did not originate from Book. Okay, matter of fact, this thing had originated a long time ago. And what is it, coincidence? It's the black guys that get caught. So I'm here to say, if you're a white coach and you want to hire Gary Charles, I ain't going down for you. I'm not going down for a goddamn person. You understand? Okay. So if that makes me a snitch, then call me goddamn it, Captain Snitch. Okay, because I'm not gonna allow that to happen to me. And this is wrong. What's going on? And we all know it. I mean, we've seen things, we heard things, and you say to yourself, well, I'll be damned. Because I know you'll say that, like, I'll be dead. They did it again. Just the black guys. Again. It's coincidence? No. We allow it. We allow it to continuously keep happening. Okay, and then what happens is that we are trained to believe, but if I say something, I'm a snitch. I'm not doing 10 years for a damn soul unless it's my kids. I'm sorry. And then I could say, but I was that OG. See, a real man will handle his business correctly. A real man will understand that. Not snitching does not make you a real man. Okay? It just makes your ass being in jail. Not doing it. Okay? This is BS. And it continues to be BS, and I don't understand why we continue to allow it. So that's how I feel about that one.
He was he explained it real good to me.
And so with that thought, should it have been some of the white coaches convicted or even charged?
Here's what I'm saying. You can't tell me that with what was going on, it was only one person that was doing it. So if you're going to get the black guy, they get the white guy too that was there. I'm not saying just to get a white guy just for the sake of getting a white guy. You know, first of all, let me just also say this also. I ain't believe in all of this to begin with as far as taking these guys to go to jail for giving money to a basketball players. Because now it's like, whoa, we can go to jail for this? Y'all didn't tell me this. Because if I would have known that was part of the rules, I wouldn't have done a damn thing. And people don't understand the pressure that these coaches are putting on these black guys to get players. No one knew they could go to jail for this. You got to be kidding me. Also, if a kid is hungry, I don't know any of us who are going to allow that kid to go hungry. We're going to help that young man out. People don't understand. These kids in Mississippi and other places, they really don't have it. And you are asking them to go to class to find a way to play the game, get the morning practice, get the afternoon practice, and study, please. And then not have $1 in their pocket. We're not in the right world. This is wrong.
Great
so
point.
that just to me creates a whole nother thing to me as far as like, I'm going to jail for this? You gotta be kidding me. For basketball? Wow. I didn't kill anybody.
Hold up, Gary. Helping a family out?
Helping a family out? I'm going to jail for this? I didn't shoot anyone. I didn't even sell you any weed. And now you're telling me this is a jail sentence? And of course, to all of this that you've been doing, oh, get that black guy over there. Really? Okay. Here we go again.
Oh my God.
I've seen that show too many times.
And hey man, and it's you know, I'm speechless on it because I'm trying to save not enough energy because ironically, on Thursday of this week, live on the Chop Shop is scheduled to be Book Richardson. Book Richardson don't do these types of conversations. He will be on the Chop Shop Thursday. I'm giving you guys that game up in advance. So if you don't know, not get your homework and get caught up. You got 48 hours to get caught up. Book Richardson live on the Chop Shop. He won't be the only one. We have 3 different conversations, just back to back to back. We're going to talk to Book Richardson. We're also going to have Julio with the Atlanta Celtics will be talking with us.
Julio.
and as well as one of the Irvin sons with the Mac Irvin Fire be talking. So all three of them will have a conversation with, but Book Richardson will be the last guest on Thursday to take us into the weekend on the Chop Shop.
And by the way, on tomorrow, Gary, is Women Rock Wednesday for us. Okay, we always highlight women. Ashton Washington, she was a young lady that joined the football staff of Lovie Smith. First, that's the Fighting Illini's first female hire on their football staff in history. Wow. She made history. Awesome. She played. I mean, she coached with the XFL team, the Houston Roughnecks here in Houston, and she will be a guest on Women Rock Wednesday tomorrow on the show.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. I love it.
So that's tomorrow. That's how we rocking on the Chop Shop, guys. Hey, man, Gary, last thoughts, man. Gary, we got this time to land this plane, and hold on before you get your last thoughts in. Let me. I had something special. I saw you. I didn't know how you was gonna rock today, but I see you got a little cool piece on. So let me go ahead. Let me take this straw off, guys, and put this. That's how it's right now. You know.
I like it, man. I like it. That's like my guy, man. That's why.
Man, I don't know what to say, man.
With the same type of. So I said, let me bring a spell just in case. I wouldn't let him go.
I like that.
We ain't gonna read like.
Man, you send Sandra in there. You send Sandra in there to get that gray one.
And dude, I'll be damned if he ain't got like a salmon shirt on in my color. It's a salmon shirt. And I'm like, man, that's too much like right. Let me bring it. So now we're good to go.
I love it, baby.
I believe it. I believe. Good job.
Appreciate the combo, man. And thanks so much for joining us on the Chop Shop. Thanks so much. Like I said, great tell Sonny. I said what's happening. I got some great stories. Everybody has a great story. If you were in the loop of grassroots basketball, then you probably have a Sonny Vaccaro story.
How about that? There you go.
And I don't. Exactly. And I'm sad I don't because I got in with Nike early, and I didn't get it. You know what? I'm so envious of y'all because I've heard just sitting down talking to that guy is just amazing, man.
And it is. His tree is big. His tree is big. But you are absolutely right. The stories that man has and the way he makes you feel like you're the most important thing in the world. Absolutely. I like that. He said, you weren't in the loop.
I wasn't in the loop. I wasn't in that loop.
Oh, man.
That's right.
Hey, man. Good combo, man. Thanks so much, man. And we appreciate it. And now, is your tournament taking place in Louisville? Somebody asked that.
No, the Louisville one's been canceled. We're going to reschedule that one probably Cincinnati, Ohio.
And the date for the Vegas event, once again, you didn't get a date out. What's your date?
My bad on that. The younger kids will be on July 22nd to the 25th. The younger division is 9 to 14. The older guys, 15 to 17, will be July 23rd to July 26th. And the girls are going to be July 21st to July 23rd.
Okay, there you go, man. And for more information, what's the website?
It's BigTimeLasVegas.com.
BigTimeLasVegas.com. And of course, thanks a bunch, guys. That's Gary Charles. That's Robert Haller. Jim Hicks. You know what time it is. It's time to slide on down Dino's back and yabba dabba do this thing. We'll see you back on tomorrow, Women Rock Wednesday. Shout out to all you guys. Make sure you be safe. And more importantly,
appreciate y'all
out there. Peace.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. We out.
Take care.
Jim Hicks. Rob Hatter. You are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro. Let's get it. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the Chop Shop.